Shoot this, because we're talking about White Lotus.
It's a good show.
It's not a good show.
It is.
It's not.
We'll take it to fisticuffs. The dude in the Abercrombie sweatpants is telling me what is and isn't a good show.
Welcome everybody to Downshift. My name is Paulo.
And my name is Matt, and this is the Subaru Outback, the car that is responsible for tricking Americans into buying wagons. But is it the best Subaru that you should get? We've spent some time in the Forester in the past, and it was okay. But we're gonna cover the best and the rest here of the Outback, so you can make that decision for yourself.
Let's do it.
The first thing we want to talk about is under the hood, and of course it's the engine, but more specifically about the fuel economy. Now there's two engines that you can get here. You can get the naturally aspirated engine, or you can go up to the turbocharged engine here. And you get about 25 mpg combined, and that's kind of what we've been getting this week. It's not bad, but it's not amazing. And the only reason that we kind of put it on the negative side of the video is just because some of the other competitors from Honda, Toyota, Hyundai are giving you hybrids, or even plug-in hybrids. So to only have internal combustion option here from Subaru, maybe in the coming years I'd start to expect a hybrid or a plug-in. And then there's this technology suite that you get here, and it's not bad, but it's also not amazing. And this is kind of par for the course for the Subarus that we've tested recently in the last year or two. You don't have a head-up display, you don't have a fully digital instrument cluster, you get a little TFT screen in the middle here. It shows you stuff like your fuel economy and stuff that you would normally expect to see, but again, it's not really like leading the segment or anything. Then we get into here, this is your 11.6-inch screen. You do have wireless Apple CarPlay, wireless Android Auto. You do have some decent stuff. It's a little laggy, but it is an improved system over the past few years. But then you go and you click the camera, and this is the resolution. You don't have a 360 camera. You have a front camera that's basically like 180, but the resolution is pretty terrible. And it's the same for the reverse. And it's weird because you go up here to your digital rear view mirror, and this camera is awesome. So like, why have you prioritized this camera over this camera? So there's just some things from the tech perspective that don't totally make sense to me. It's not, again, that anything's bad, but it's just not that anything is particularly amazing. The screen here is a good size, but I think I just would expect a couple more things like a head-up display or a digital instrument cluster or even a 360 camera. And then we get to the actual look of the car, and I don't think it's necessarily super handsome, but I don't necessarily think it's super ugly either. I do like the color here. This is the Autumn Falls Metallic. It's got a nice green shimmer with a lot of metallic flake. It looks really good, especially in this midday sun here. But I think there's just a little more plastic accenting and cladding than they really need. You do have LED fog lights up front, some LED runners, but you do have incandescence for your turn signal. You have almost the Salvador Dali style mustache that we had from the Crosstrek. It's okay, but just generally speaking, it's kind of classic Subaru, the design here, right? You've got more aggressive plastic cladding around the wheels, all the way down your side skirt too, that even have little divots there. It does say Outback here on the back. And there's also a surprising amount of chrome. You have completely like kind of satin chrome mirror cap, and then chrome window treatments, silver finish roof rails. It's okay, but it's just, again, not really my favorite. Then you come all the way to the back, and you do have LEDs for your running taillights, but your reverse lights and I believe your turn signals are incandescent as well. And then generally speaking, again, you just see a lot of cladding. So for me, it's not that it's ugly, it's just that I don't love it. But Paulo, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the exact same thing. I don't think it looks good, and I don't think it looks bad. It's kind of just blah. And I do like this color as well.
I think for me, if it was going to be my spec for this and the Forester, I would go with the Wilderness with that blue, because that looks pretty cool.
Absolutely.
And last thing that I'm going to kind of ding the car on is just relative to the Forester, and it is price. Now, an Outback starts at about... The Forester? Yeah. Relative to the Forester.
Oh, sorry.
We've been getting the names confused all day, but basically, compared to the Forester, the Outback is going to be more expensive. It starts at about $29,000. As tested with delivery included, we're at about $44,000, and that starts to become a lot of money, at least when you compare it to the Forester. Now, that being said, there's a lot of stuff going on inside that I really like. It's some of the nicest stuff that I've seen in a Subaru that I've ever tested. So let's talk about all the great things going on with this Outback. Do you like that I coordinated my fit?
Yeah, you've been trying better. I think we all appreciate that.
If I'm honest, I didn't think about that when I got dressed, but it works.
As a viewer, we appreciate that.
And then one of the best things about any Subaru that we test is, of course, the fact that they all come with all-wheel drive as standard. It's a solid drivetrain. You get your CVT, you get all-wheel drive, the symmetrical all-wheel drive, and you get an active torque vectoring differential or active torque vectoring all-wheel drive system. You also get X mode as standard here with a bunch of different off-road settings. So there's a lot of customizability and a lot of security and a lot of confidence, especially as you're driving through snow in the winters here in Wisconsin. So it is nice to see. Then we're going to talk about cargo and practicality. Now this trunk, you can see you have a power tailgate. It's part of a $1,400 package. Definitely worth it, I would say, because, hold on, come out here now, because you have not just clothes, but clothes and lock. Haha, Toyota. You also got a little light under here, not that important, but here in the trunk here, you've got about 32 cubic feet of space, and that is pretty big, very practical. You've got a netted bin on this side, you've got some grocery bag hangers, which is quite nice, some tie downs, and then a very robust and high-end feeling way to drop the rear seats. Sorry about that. You do also have this kind of rubberized mat down here with some styrofoam storage cubbies, and if you lift this up, with the jack, you do have a spare tire down there.
And it is not a Ling Long.
Damn. That's a bummer. You hate to see when it's not a Ling Long. But you do love to see that there is a spare tire, so that's pretty good. Also, the Harman Kardon system's good too.
Did you mention what the space was with the seats down?
Oh, with the seats down, it's 75 cubic feet of space. And again, that's very, very big. Very competitive, if not segment leading, depending on how you're gonna compare this thing. And then when it comes to the driving experience, we'll start with the engine. You've got a 2.5 naturally aspirated boxer 4-cylinder that's gonna give you 182 horsepower, 176 pound-feet of torque. It'll do about 28 mpg combined. Now, this is the engine that most people are gonna get. But here, what we have in the Touring XT, or whatever they call it, is a 2.4 liter turbocharged 4-cylinder, boxer 4-cylinder. It's from the WRX, 260 horsepower and 277 pound-feet of torque. And that's pretty powerful. This is actually the same engine that we had in the Ascent the other week. It'll do about 25 mpg combined pretty consistently, or 23 with the Wilderness, but that's on bigger, taller springs and suspension, so you've got more clearance, so it's got more wind resistance, and it's also got more all-terrain tires, so that's got more rolling resistance, and that's why you get about 2 less mpg. But here in the Touring, I mean, the visibility is excellent. The ride is super soft, incredibly supple, really, really, really good. I was really impressed with it. It's really comfortable and wafty without being sloppy. And you don't really feel anything from the steering, but it's just easy. It's a delight to drive, for sure. And then in terms of the rear seats, now first of all, we'll talk about the door. They don't actually open 90 degrees, but they're pretty close. It's still gonna be easy to load yourself, load your kids, whatever you need to do in the back seat. But look at this is really nice upholstery, and this is some of the stuff that we'll talk about more in the front. But when I'm saying that this is like the nicest Subaru that I've ever been in, this is part of the reason why. But I'll head in here. Again, I'm 6'1", sitting behind myself. I've got several inches of knee room in front of me, and I even have several inches of headroom. That is pretty impressive. You will get a little bit more headroom in the Forester, but here I have plenty of space. We've got dual level pockets here, and this one, the lower one, even has a special cutout for your phone. Very thoughtful, very nice. You've got some vents back here. You've got 2 level heated seats outboard, and then a USB-C and a USB-A. But ultimately, it's just a nice and easy place to sit, even for grown adults. Truck people love me.
Yeah.
Truck people have never been offended by what I wear, or how my voice sounds.
Yep.
Or my lack of facial hair. They've never been offended.
They also know and believe for a fact that you're married to a woman.
Yes.
You should mention that it doesn't come with, you have to buy the kit.
The kit.
The kit.
This is why truck people don't with us.
Yeah.
What's the kit called?
The towing kit.
The towing So then what's here? What was that?
That's a tow hitch.
Okay, the hitch. And then what goes in the hitch?
What you're towing.
This is why the truck people don't like us. And then in terms of towing, you have actually a pretty good amount of muscle here. In your non-turbo cars, you can tow up to 2,700 pounds. But if you opt for the big power, the turbo, the XT, then you can tow up to 3,500 pounds. And that's pretty good. You're getting only about 1,500 pounds in the Forester, so this has a lot more capacity and opens up a lot more doors for you if you need to tow stuff.
Where's the towing kit? The tow hook?
There is no tow package here, but you can option it separately from the dealer or when you order it online. And then I don't usually talk about this as its own standalone category, but I do think it's worth mentioning on this Outback because this is, and I think I've mentioned it a couple times now, the nicest Subaru that I've ever been in. I mean, the leathers, for instance, are like genuine. I mean, these are nicer leathers than I have in my BMW. It's probably on tier with what you have in your Genesis, but it's really nice. The stitching is great. It's contrasted. You've got heated and cooled seats up front. You have 2-level heated seats in the back, heated steering wheel. You do have a sunroof. It's just really, really nice. And the transmission tunnel does kind of eat into your foot space a little bit here on the driver's side. So I do end up having to rest my knee over here, but this is like thoughtfully padded. The dash over here, again, kind of padded, really nice leather. So I'm really impressed with the build here. I'm not seeing this from a Crosstrek. This wasn't like this in the Ascent that we were just in. This is very, very nice for the Outback. What do you think? What's your favorite feature from a Lux perspective?
Yeah, I think it's like kind of like how you just mentioned, just the build and the quality, and I really like the kind of two-tone color that you get here with the brown and the black. I think it looks really good, and just like the padding, how you kind of mentioned, is just kind of everywhere. Like it looks really good, especially for a Subaru. It looks fantastic.
It is proper impressive. Well done, Subi. And before we go for a little drive with Paulo, let's just cover a couple small things that don't necessarily fit into one category but are worth mentioning. Like for one, you still have an aux port like I used in high school. And your cup holders are actually really deep, so you get these thoughtful little risers that you can put in here, and they are removable and they're rubber, so you can easily clean them if you spill sticky drinks on them. And we're starting to see this from more and more SUVs, but you've got this thoughtful dash cubby, and it's rubberized unlike it was in the Hyundai Kona, so it's easier to put things in here and they won't rattle around as you drive around. And we mentioned it before, but you do have paddle shifters for your CVT. Kind of funny. And it's a little annoying that you get a sunroof here, but not a fully panoramic one. I do think you have enough space for it, and it would be a nice Lux feature to complement the rest of this interior. And you see all these cameras up here? This is part of your Subaru EyeSight system, which is standard for this year, and it's pretty good. But with that, let's grab Paulo and go for a bit of a drive. Super turbo.
Oh, the CVT.
Yes. Fair play, it does go up to red line. Mm-hmm. So, you know, there's that. But yes, I actually really like this car.
I did too.
So why don't we start with our positives?
Yeah, we can go back and forth. I would say my first one, and actually I know it's your first one as well, is the ride comfort and quality of this thing. The suspension is really good. It's dampered. It kind of reminds me of like the old school Buicks. Kind of just floats along, but it is so comfortable. The seats as well. Like, it's just a good spot to be.
Yeah, no, I really, really like the ride here because I think we talk about this every now and then. It's self-aware. It's not pretending to be sporty. It's not pretending like it has to be like a race car. It's like, it's just comfortable. It's got a good amount of waft, a good amount of suspension travel. It soaks everything up, and it's really good for that.
Number two for me was the luxury features that you get. So you have heated and cooled seats in the front. So you have a heated steering wheel. You have heated rear seats as well. You have a
two-level too.
I mean, this is kind of a technology thing, but the rear view mirror camera is nice as well.
It's the nicest camera in here.
It is the nicest camera in here.
Just so dumb.
I just think like, wireless Apple CarPlay, like you got some stuff in here that I think are a must-have on a lot of people's checklists, and it's awesome that you can get it here in the Subaru Outback. I really like the safety features, and it does a really good job like utilizing the little screen that you get. So, like, you know, active.
Your lane keep?
No, well, your lane keep is pretty good.
Like lane tracing?
Lane tracing is pretty good.
Lane centering.
But your like detection on if you're going to hit a vehicle is really good. It also has the like active, tries to keep you focused with your eyes.
I hate it. Yeah.
I actually thought that was like a really good feature. Mainly because I think it helps people become less distracted. And it even works through polarized lenses, so I kind of liked that feature.
Yeah, I don't discount that it's a good feature, and it's probably a smart thing to have. Mm-hmm. The thing that's annoying to me is like, and maybe this is just a journalist problem, but like when I get into here and I'm driving around, like I'm testing different stuff to, you know, get my thoughts on the car. And even just like looking around as a car enthusiast, like a Corvette drove by or like something cool would drive by, and then I would be like looking at it, and then the car would yell at me.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just a little too invasive for me. So let's talk about our negatives, which that one's one of mine.
Yeah. I do just want to quickly say 2 other small bonus likes that I had on this thing was the turning radius is incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Way better than what you would think it is on this thing. And then the second thing is when you're at a stop, you know, the auto stop start, I usually turn it off every time I get a vehicle.
Yeah.
But this one has a little display that lets you know how much time you've had the engine off for, and also how many gallons you've saved, which is kind of easy to correlate to a dollar figure. So I actually kept it on this time, and it was kind of nice to see how many gallons or tenths of a gallons I was saving while I was stopped and the engine wasn't engaged.
Yeah, 100%.
Dislikes now.
Dislikes. I talked about mine, the eyeball watcher.
So that was your first one. My first one is kind of just like the operating system that they use for Subaru. I just think is a little bit dated. Like the buttons just look kind of dated.
Yeah.
How Apple Maps kind of integrates. I think this is one of your one. It's like the icons are really small to swip between them. Like so, I just think
it's vertical rather than this way. So usually I can like hang my hand off here and then like touch stuff.
Yep.
It doesn't work here.
Right.
So I just find myself like clicking other stuff.
Yeah.
Which is kind of annoying. So,
but overall, I think it was a really good week. This thing surprised me. I think we were both genuinely surprised how much we both liked it.
I was very surprised and very impressed. Surprised and delighted.
I was a bit surprised at $45K, but I mean, it makes sense. Like, it has basically everything that I would want in a car.
Yeah, I'm genuinely impressed with this thing. So thank you to Subaru for letting us have a go in your Outback. Thank you to you for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time.